Hello everyone, my name is Anakin. Welcome to my first ever boss ranking video. Ever. So everyone's done this before, but since I've played Kingdom Hearts a million times, I suppose I have to do it too. So yeah, let's not waste any time. Let's jump right into Kingdom Hearts Final Mix boss ranking video, easiest to hardest. Alright, I say we start off with a bit of an oddball. The goddamn Rock Titan. The Rock Titan, I've heard, can kill you, and it has. It's killed me once. I've also heard he can be pretty difficult for some people. I don't know who these people are, and I don't know how that's even possible. But the Rock Titan is the absolutely easiest boss. He does a lot of damage, sure, but he has 3 attacks total. And each attack takes about 1,000 years to pull off. At least 2 of them do. Which is his foot slam thing, where he lifts up his foot, which takes him 10,000 years to even lift up and put back down. And causes a shockwave that you can just jump over if you're even paying any remote attention. In fact, you'll see in the footage, I hardly ever heal until the last minute because I'm so unconcerned about dodging his attacks. Because there's more than enough time before he gets his next attack out. His second attack involves him slamming his fist down angrily like that child that you just killed in Call of Duty. And as you see there, did not even bother dodging because it takes him forever, because I knew I would survive it, as I did have once more in this build. Actually, no, I did not. I believe I... Well, yeah, I did. Okay, I did. But, and his third and final attack is basically after you knock him down onto his back, he'll head slam him a couple times. The goal of the boss is to hit his feet until he eventually falls over. And I like how the game rewards you one tech, like you're doing this really difficult boss, you're achieving something, when you're really not doing anything at all, because you're fighting the easiest boss in this game. And you can actually stay on him much longer than you think. There's that head slam I told you guys about. I mean, he sometimes does it, so other times he'll just... The next boss on our list is Darkseid. Now, you fight Darkseid 3 times through this game. I put his second encounter because I personally find that one the hardest. He does more damage than his first encounter, and you don't have guard, you don't have cure or error or really anything to help you. And you really only have limited supply of potions unless you had trouble with the beach encounters, and you probably lost those. He's Darkseid. He has his normal attacks. He can slam his fist down to create a dark pool to spawn shadows. He can shoot these weird energy balls from his chest, and he has one new attack in this, though he might have it in his first fight where he can pick up this big ball and it'll explode, dropping smaller balls. I don't know if it does that in this version of the fight. I presume it does, but he's Darkseid. Just hit his hand anytime you see an opportunity, and literally just murder the hell out of him for making him think that he deserves to be a boss 3 times in this game. Our next easiest boss is definitely the card tower. Now you can bet your goddamn ass that I got all the evidence. I wanted ice early, just so I could have it. And so you can imagine my face when I opened up that box, got a Heartless, she questions what it is, and then still states that we're all guilty and our heads are going to be cut off. Like, what? Bitch, excuse the hell of me, do you know how long that took? Like, Jesus Christ, woman, I hate this world so much, and you're gonna make me still do this stupid fight even though I did all that? Anyway, the fight is pathetic. Like, more than pathetic. It's only slightly harder than Darkseid and the Rock Titan. And that's only because you're still early in the game. So you still don't have cure. So, what you gotta do is literally just ignore the cards, because you're most likely gonna hit them with your swings anyways, and literally just attack the tower. Like, it's only slightly hard because it can be hard to find breathing room. You'll see in a minute. Right here, see? I am being swarmed to the living hell, but Donald and Goofy should come to the rescue and buy you some breathing room. But like I said, your swings will likely knock the cards away. Anyway, so yeah, this boss is pathetically easy. Next up is Hercules. Apparently, for being a explosive hero, he has learned nothing about gloating. Because this man immediately opens up with, hey, give up yet? Yeah, man. Shitting my pants. I'm so scared of your size. Not. Hercules has like 4 attacks. He can swing around with his sword, which can be a bit complex to avoid. I've never really figured out how to avoid it. I presume you can block it, but this was during my time where I was stubborn and didn't like blocking, and I preferred to just dodge roll the attacks. So yeah, he clips me a few times. He has a ground pound attack that he can do, which is area of effect when he's glowing. Speaking of, when he's glowing, you can't hurt him. So be sure to hit him with barrel before you do anything else. He can run around like a bull and look completely stupid. I don't know if Phil taught him that, but that's not what I would choose as an attack, but you know, I'm not the hero, I guess. And he can also just normally do a normal punch against you. Yeah, Hercules, I gotta be honest with you, my man. For how much Sora looks up to you, I don't need to look up to shit. I'm way better than you. Fucking wash up. Why don't you go cry to Dad and hope that he can teach you some moves on how to beat me? Up next is Behemoth. Now this footage is not the hardest version in my opinion. I think his Coliseum fight is the hardest, but I couldn't be bothered to look through my channel to find that one. But trust me, it's literally the same. He just has a few extra health bars. I think he has 2 extra health bars in his Coliseum fight. But this is a boss that was supposedly nerfed, where apparently he would be invincible. His horn that you have to hit would be invincible for a lot longer. But yeah, with a few exceptions, giant bosses are pathetic in this game. So, of course, Behemoth is, you know, he fits neatly right here. Anyway, he only has like 2 or 3 attacks. If he steps on you, it'll obviously hurt. He can summon lightning, and he has a ball summoning attack similar to Darkseid's. But that's honestly it. He is a pathetic boss. I don't know why you fight him like 6 times in this game. You fight him like 5 times. 5 to 6 times. Even without the Coliseum, you fight him a bunch. And I don't know why. But either way, he is a pathetic boss. He should feel bad, and he should feel depressed that he is a boss fight this many times in this game. Next up is Oogie Boogie, his first fight. He is more long than he is hard. In fact, so long I actually can't include most of the footage I have on this fight. That's how long it took, and yeah. Oogie Boogie has a couple attacks. He can throw dice that will explode. He can summon Heartless. The key to beating him is just survive. Wait until the buttons on the floor glow, and press on and then touch the one where he's standing. If you fuck up, then those things will try to shoot you, but you can easily just move to the side or jump over them or whatever. When you eventually click the button on the side that he's on, you can get up there and literally lay the smack down on him. But you can only do it for so long until he becomes invincible and will just knock you back down immediately. Like I said, this boss fight is more long than it is hard, and it has no right to be this long. It's pathetically easy, just like every boss that we've covered so far, but we're still in easy territory, so that's to be expected. Next up on the list is Oogie's Manor. Oogie Boogie the house? Oogie's house? I don't know. Anyway, this boss is also pathetically easy, just like all the others we've been covering. You have to destroy these dark balls that are scattered all over him. And that's not the hard part. The hard part is you, because the boss can only attack so many ways. The dark balls can shoot little darkness things at you, but, you know, you can destroy them so fast that it doesn't get a chance to do that. The lantern can shoot fire at you, and that's where most of the damage you're probably going to be taking is coming from. But you can also destroy the lantern for tech points, so that kind of nullifies that. And you got Heartless that are trying to attack you, but your biggest enemy is you. As you can currently see, I am struggling. And that's because these jumps are so annoying to make. In fact, it is kind of recommended by most that you go to Neverland first, and then come here so you can at least have glide, and that will make the jumps way easier to make. In fact, this boss is only above Oogie because this boss is more annoying to do than Oogie Boogie. Seriously, like, I was going through the list and I was like, well, this boss really annoys me, and it annoys me more than Oogie does, so I guess it can be a little bit higher. So congrats, Oogie, you turned into the house and you're slightly harder. Up next on our list is, well, up next on our list, not list, I don't know what our list is, but whatever. Up next on our list is Taskmaster. This boss is a bitch. This boss is either really easy or really hard. I mean, I would presume if you did Deep Jungle first and you actually use that Keyblade, you could actually have an easier time with this boss, but even though I did that world before this one, I forgot to equip it. So I'm still running the Kingdom Key. Anyway, the whole thing with this boss is you're tiny, and he is really big and extremely hard to hit. He's still easy, but the only way you're really going to hit him is by jumping from the table or the chair, which he can get rid of at any time. He can also shoot fireballs at you. The table can spin around and throw off your aim, and overall he is extremely annoying. In fact, this fight is also one of those fights where it's more long than anything. And in fact, it's so long I couldn't include all the footage. In fact, I grabbed the footage, went into my editing program, and the fight was still going when I went to pause the video. So that's nice, ain't it? And he can also be a challenge because you probably don't have guard yet. But if you did Deep Jungle like I did, then you should have Cure. So that should be fine. But yeah, Taskmaster, you're more annoying than you're hard, and you have, just like every other boss I've seen so far, you have no right to be this annoying. Okay, I gotta talk slightly faster, but next up is Sabor. This boss is actually only right here because I feel bad for Sabor for what I did. You're gonna see in the footage that I absolutely bodied Sabor. She has, because I believe Sabor is a female, 2 to 3 attacks. She can swipe at you, leap at you, just like in your first fight. I'm doing second fight, counting second fight because she's harder and has more health. And she can jump between the bamboo, but in the remix version, it doesn't pick the lock on off. And I found a small exploit, I guess, is if you get her in the corner, you can absolutely body her for a long ass time like this. Like as she gets up and you hit her with your third swing, you'll knock her back down, and she can't do anything. Sorry, Sabor, but the only reason you're here is because I feel bad. Next up on the list is Clayton. This boss can be either pretty easy or easy but long. My route is easy but long because I went to this world first, I believe. I don't think I even went to Wonderland before I did this. So in the beginning, you can absolutely body Clayton. He can jump, and he can shoot you. And that's really all Clayton himself can do. He can also heal himself and teleport onto the creature he will be riding, which is the Stealth Sneak. This boss managed to kill me 6 times, and this is not my win attempt. The Stealth Sneak has like 2 to 3 attacks. It can swipe at you. It has this weird clap attack it can do. And it has these weird laser eyes, which is bugged in the PS4 version. And has not been fixed to this day, where even after you deplete its health to 0, it still will not die if it's doing the laser attack. And I hate it because it's super annoying. Like I said, I went to this world first, so Clayton managed to kill me like 7 times, and that is the only reason I'm putting him this high. And now we have Cloud. Now, your first matchup with Cloud is kind of pathetically easy. He can only do so much. He has a thrust attack that he will do like 7 or 8 times, so you'll be dodge rolling a bunch. He'll stand there, let down Goofy, beat him up. He can swing at you, and he has a jump and slam that looks like it's homing. Because I swear, like I would dodge roll away from that, and that attack would still manage to hit me, like most of the time. But Cloud leaves himself open quite a bit. If you can hit his sword as he swings it, you can stun him for a few seconds to get some hits in, or you can just hit him anyways. Who's gonna stop you, Cloud? Well, apparently not, because he's pretty damn easy to beat, at least in this encounter. So, Cloud, I don't know if you're just going easy on me or what, but man, I obliterated you. Don't feel too bad about it, bud. I'll try not to bring it up around the others. Alright, next up on our list is Guard Armor. A boss that is really only hard because you don't have Cure. And you probably don't have Guard yet, so that's pretty annoying. The boss really can't do too much. He can swing his limbs around, he can flop around, he can step on you, and honestly that's about it, which you can intervene almost all these attacks just by timing your swings perfectly. In fact, if anything, this is similar to with the Oogie House, that it's just a long fight. Like I said, this boss is only this high because you don't have Cure, so he can actually do a lot of damage. And you have Donald and Goofy to help you out, so he's slightly easier than he would have been. But Donald might not be able to heal you because he might have just spammed all his magic gone immediately, and you're like, welp. So, you know. But otherwise, he is, just like almost every boss we've faced so far, a pathetically simple and easy boss fight. And right after Guard Armor, we have his, well, his brother, same one? I don't know. Reverse Armor. The fight starts out just like the first one with Guard Armor, who at this point, if you've been doing the Coliseum, is a normal enemy there, so he's pathetically easy here. So you just beat him up for a bit, and then something changes. He decides that he's had enough of this bullshit, and decides to literally just reverse his limbs. Now, some will argue that this boss is easier than Guard Armor because you have Cure now, and his attacks take longer to wind up. And he has less attacks, technically, because Guard Armor has like 3 or 4. This boss only has like 2, at least that I saw during this playthrough. Which is, he has this weird charge up where he throws his limbs at you. And there's that. And you probably won't get to see it because I'll probably finish talking before you get to see it. But he can also kind of strap himself together like a cannon and will shoot these like balls of energy at you that you can block. And I don't know if it's just me, but I have terrible dodge roll timing in this fight for some reason. Just because it takes longer to charge up than you would think. And this is obviously my personal opinion, so I decide where the bosses go, and I'm putting Reverse Armor right after Guard Armor because he's a piece of shit. Alright, next up is second Cerberus fight. Now, you can argue that the first one is harder because maybe you don't have Cure yet, but for this run, I actually did have Cure, so I consider this one harder because he has way more health and he attacks way more often, and he's open for less time. Cerberus himself does a lot of stuff. He has Dark Geysers that he will do twice in a row when you fight him in the actual Hades Cup. You see he's doing a second time there. And then he will do this jaw biting attack, and if you hit the jaw the head that's biting, you can actually stun him for a bit. And he'll walk around while you're dodging the Dark Geysers and shoot fireballs at you, basically being a general annoyance. He's not exactly hard. He's, like most other bosses we've faced, super annoying. And unlike the others, he actually has a reason to be this hard. Or this annoying, at least, because he's in the Hades Cup. So, you know what? I can't say her. Cerberus, you should not be this difficult. You shouldn't be annoying me this much. You don't deserve to be this annoying. Nope, you kind of deserve it. You're in the Hades Cup. So that's completely fair. And now we have the Cave of Wonders itself. Yeah, this boss will not lie. It's pathetically easy. The boss can do a couple things. It can spit Heartless out, which are the main annoyancing, and it can shoot light things from its eyeballs, which you can block back, and you go get some tech for that. The goal of the fight is to get up onto the boss's head and hit its eyes, and after enough time, it literally kills it. In fact, the boss is only this size because 1, there's a lot of bosses in Kingdom Hearts, and 2, it's annoying, and 3, it actually managed to kill me because one of the Heartless got up onto the head, and I couldn't heal fast enough, and it managed to kill me, so I was like, okay, fine. Like, you barely count as a boss, you're more of an encounter, but I'll count you just this once, buddy. And this is, yeah, another boss is like, why, you have no reason to be this annoying, you're super annoying, I didn't have scan yet, you are simply just annoying, you are not hard. Next up is Genie Jafar. He's another pathetic boss who's only up here because he's super, super annoying. You have to jump to hit the lamp that's flying around while these platforms are going in and out. And honestly, Iago does nothing. He tries to fly away, but you just jump and hit it. The boss itself, Genie Jafar, only does 3 things. He can swipe at you, shoot lasers out of his eyes, and throw a giant meteorite. Honestly, Jafar, why didn't you just turn me into a genie? Man, if it's this pathetic to be an all-powerful genie, you should have just turned me into a genie and fucking swiped me once and you would have actually won this fight. Fucking pathetic. And now we have Jafar. Just normal Jafar. Sounds lame, but somehow he's actually more difficult than as a genie. Because as a genie, he can't do jack shit. But as a normal human self, he has a lot he can do. He's still extremely easy and weak. He can shoot a laser, which 80% of the time is going to miss. He can light his staff on fire and swing it at you, which you can block or dodge. He has a sort of get off me move. He can summon Blizzard in the middle of the arena that, as you can see, if you just don't go to the middle, you can completely avoid it. He has a shield, which is absolutely terrible at shielding him from attacks. And he has Genie who helps him, who is the worst assistant ever because he warns you when he's about to hit you. And if he does manage to hit you, he drops a bunch of HP orbs. The most annoying about this boss is the fact that he moves a lot. Like, he doesn't do it as much in this fight, so I got lucky, but most times he'll do what he just did. He'll do that move where he's a little spirit orb and will move, and then you'll spin, then you'll start heading towards him, you'll get to him, and he'll be all like, over here, and just fly away from you, and you're like, come on, man. And for some reason, this time, he straight up started floating above an area where I couldn't hit him. He did that a lot. So Jafar, you aren't hard, like most other bosses in this game. You are just super fucking annoying, and I absolutely hate you for it. And up next on our list, we have the Pop Centipede thing. I don't actually remember what it's called off my head, and I'm tired, so I'm not gonna look it up, so who cares? Anyway, the Pop Centipede thing is not that hard. It has a couple of attacks. It can walk into you to hurt you. The spider pots can do their normal attacks to hurt you, and the thing can zap you from pretty much any direction that you attack. And yeah, I tried to destroy the pots there. This boss was only hard because I'm still kind of a low level. But, you know, that's what I get. Because I did Deep Jungle, and then I did, like, our first Coliseum visit, and then I think I immediately went here. Which is not recommended, but, you know, that's how the cookie crumbles. So yeah, like I say, it's not a hard boss. The goal is to basically separate it and destroy the spider pods. At least that's what I like to do. And then you can kind of focus on the main boss, who will almost always zap your ass. It can be a bit annoying, but not that tough of a fight if you know what you're doing. Next up is the Cage Parasite. And I'm only counting this bitch once because, well, it's pretty much the same in both rounds. Only difference is that Riku isn't here to be completely useless and jack off in the corner like the asshole he is. Anyway, the Cage Parasite has a few attacks. He can still do his swing with his arms. He can still fling himself by lifting himself up and flinging himself out in a sort of way. And now I believe he can now he can spit acid in this fight, and that's like the main difference. Speaking of acid, there's now acid on the floor, so you have to watch out for that. But after you can hit back his swings that he does with his arms for some extra tech points. And if you hit his main head enough, it will actually stun him for a bit, where you can hit the center of the big mouth for a lot more damage. And but you can only do it for so long until, you know, he fixes himself. Oh, and if he spits the acid on you, it's damage over time, and I tend to get hit by it a lot because I'm an idiot. But yeah, this boss, honestly, is only here because the acid is so annoying to deal with. So again, another boss that isn't that difficult, but is annoying. But congrats, you're still my favorite boss Heartless in this game. And now we have Lock, Shock, and Barrel. Another boss that was supposedly nerfed, as opposed to their previous version where they were a lot harder. The biggest, this boss is mainly here because they're annoying. Like, in fact, Barrel was the only one that I noticed did anything when I was looking back at this footage, where he would dash across the room, you can just jump over it. I don't know what the other two do, because I honestly, looking at the footage, I don't see the other two doing anything at all. So, the best you can do is focus on one, chase them down, and just perform child abuse, I guess, because that's what this technically is. I know we're not condoning that, but in this case, you know, I think beating the smack out of these kids will teach them not to mess with goddamn Halloween Town. But yeah, the biggest trouble you'll have is chasing these kids down. Which time stop does work, so if you want to use stop on them, you can use that to get some beatings in. But yeah, again, another just annoying boss over a difficult one. Do you like spamming the fuck out of magic? If not, well, too fucking bad. That's exactly what this fight is. Ursula only has like 3 attacks. She can spin around, her eels will attack you, and give off a warning before they do it so you can swim out of the way. And she can activate her cauldron to, like, basically summon tornadoes, which might be able to hurt you, but I've only seen them actually revive the eels, who I can't remember the names of at the time of this recording, so that's nice. And it can also spit fireballs. What you want to do is just spam magic onto the cauldron, and there might be a specific order that you do it in to make it go by faster, but I actually don't know the order, so you know. So I normally start out by just going through each and every spell I can think of, from basically lightning, ice, and fire, and just keep using that until it stuns Ursula. Then you can get some beatings in, and eventually you will win, either by lowering her health or, as the game did for me, it actually didn't. I didn't have to lower all her health. I straight up did the cauldron 4 to 5 times, and she didn't, and she wasn't completely dead. But the game still gave me the win when I did the cauldron thing right again. This boss is only this high up because, like many others, it really just annoys me. I always hate going to this boss. So congrats, Ursula. You're really annoying. Are you proud of yourself? And now on to Shadow Sora, or Anti-Sora. I don't know what he's called. This boss is yet another one that was actually nerfed in the remix version. I don't know why, but he was nerfed. Anyway, he has a couple of attacks. He's like your normal Sora. He can swing, he can duck into the ground, rise up, he can spawn clones of himself, he can't be stunned. Wait a minute. Anyway, while he cannot be stunned, you can interfere with his attacks and get some tech. And this will actually stun him a bit. But normal combos will not cause him to stagger or stun. In fact, hitting him too many times, as I'm sure you'll see throughout the footage, will cause him to go all misty, and then he'll immediately retaliate. So at that moment, you want to either dodge roll or block accordingly. It's completely up to you. And I don't know exactly how the clone move works. I think you have to destroy his clones and then go after him. Otherwise, he'll just keep doing it. The sink into the ground thing was actually nerfed, where he could do it like 6 or 7 times or something like that in the original. Now it's more like 2 to 3. Like, I don't even think he did it 4 times in this run. Either way, this is the boss that kicked my ass when I was a kid, but now that I'm not scared of shadows anymore, I have dominated my fears, and he is nothing but a giant joke. Now we have what is probably the most annoying boss in this game, Captain Hook. He has his fair share of attacks. He can jab at you with his sword. He can summon Heartless, and he can toss presents, and he has, I believe, 2 counters, and he can do a barrage of swings. He's mainly annoying because he is non-stop with attacking you. He doesn't give you a lot of breathing room. A little exploit you see me using, because I died to this boss like twice and got annoyed, so I started using this exploit, where if you fly slightly off the ground, your attacks will be counted as air combos, and so you can send them flying and you'll do more damage. And another thing you can do is if you knock him off the ship, you won't do damage, but it'll cause him to say a hilarious line of being like, "You'll not get me other hand," and he'll just fly back up, but he will also be in the air. So then you can air combo him a little bit. The main Heartless he will summon is the ship Heartless, so I didn't really focus on it because the attacks weren't really landing on me, so I didn't have a reason to. But if the ship Heartless is being annoying, you can kill them all. But do be warned that he is likely going to summon some new ones if you do that. So yeah, Hook, you are actually kind of difficult in my opinion, and I hate you. But you're also really annoying. And I hate that I have to put you this high on the list. Next up on the list, we have Giant Ursula. Ursula's back, she's giant, and she's somehow even uglier. This boss is more long, in my opinion, than it is hard. But this is one of the bosses that can give you some trouble if you don't know what you're doing. She has way more attacks. There's constant lightning bolts being summoned that if you're even moving, like at all throughout the fight, you can avoid. Like, the times that you're probably going to get hit is when you're either in the middle of healing or when you're beating up Ursula. Like I said, this fight's more long than anything. She can suck you into her mouth, only to say that you know you're not very tasty. She can shoot a giant laser out of her mouth. She can blow bubbles at you, and she can summon giant lightning around her later on in the fight when you get her health down some. She honestly doesn't have that many attacks compared to like what other bosses have. The fight is just long because it's a Tunska. You're doing the underwater combat, and you gotta get in close. So you're bound to take some hits to where eventually you're gonna have to swim away, heal up all the damage that you've taken, just to go back in and start hitting her some more. Don't know if you're gonna be dead a lot. A weird exploit I found that I don't think you're gonna see in the footage is that I managed to get behind her neck where I was avoiding a lot of her attacks. I did it like twice where I avoided her attack where she tried to suck me into her mouth. And then I also did it against the laser attack. So, I don't know, try exploring that. See if you can figure that out. See how I did that. Because I honestly don't know how I did it. I just know that I ended up doing it. But, Giant Ursula, this is one of the few fights where I say that where we're actually getting into kind of hard fights territory. So yeah, let's move on. And now, we have Riku 1. You notice I didn't count any of the beach encounters. I don't count any of those as fights, as actual boss fights. So that's why Selphie, Tidus, and Waka aren't here, as well as the Riku fight you can do there. But this is an actual boss, kind of. Riku, unlike us, sucks. When he got separated from Destiny Islands, he apparently didn't go on the ground like Sora did. He has like 3 attacks. He can swing his sword, he can do a swing that will cause him to dash, and he can do a sort of swing that will rise him up there and slam down. And that's about it. Man, Riku, you're pathetic. Like, me and my group are gangbanging you, and you have nothing you can do about it. Man, no wonder the Keyblade chose me over you. Could have beaten you with the fucking wooden sword that you gave me, and you still would have been embarrassed by the fact that you couldn't defeat me. Fucking pathetic. Yeah, honestly, he's only here because I consider him ever so slightly more annoying than Giant Ursula, because he does more damage. And now we have Maleficent. You know, for a mistress of all evil, she kind of sucks. Of kind of all of it, except being evil, I guess. Anyway, she rides this flying rock thing that you can immediately take down by using gravity, or you can beat it up a bunch until it eventually runs out. I would use gravity because she can technically just make it go back up in the air at any point. Like you see in the footage, like I bring it down, she goes into her spirit ball thing, and the platform immediately starts flying up again. So it's very annoying. She can't do much besides, well, she can do that. She can swing her staff at you. She can summon lightning at you and summon Heartless. I saw 2 kinds, the Pac-Man Heartless and the Guardians, which are pretty good at defending her, but they kind of suck at that job when they come off the platform to come after me. And you see she can summon these meteors, which if you give any shit at all, you can just walk off the platform and walk left and right and absolutely dodge them. She'll try to knock you off, but you can kind of just deny that by blocking her swing or defying physics like I did in that footage and just jump back up there. And honestly, that's all she can do. She cannot do much against you. Just show her your Keyblade power, show her why you're the hero and why you're the main character and why she's been reduced to nothing but a side character. Fucking pathetic, Maleficent. I expected more out of you. This is all you have to show? Pathetic. Next, we have Ansem Riku. Or Riku Ansem. Riku possesses Ansem, Ansem possesses Riku. I don't know. I've heard like 50 different names for this guy. Either way, Riku 2. Now, Riku has not gotten any more skills. He's got a new weapon which gives him a long range, but he has the exact same attacks that he had in your first fight with him. The only difference is that it's a one-on-one fight. And he has the spin attack, which he does have in his first one. I just forgot to mention it, but it's a sort of just get off me move. But it's basically the same mode. And no, we're not moving on yet, because I was just waiting for it to catch up in the footage. Now, after you hit him a bunch, he will power up, and his attacks will have some extra bang to them, where a swing will toss out these weird boomerang things that you can just hit back. A slash downwards will cause a weird, like, energy rift, and then a big slam downwards will cause an even more energy rift that causes pools of energy or darkness or whatever to spout everywhere. I don't know if we're gonna make it, if I'm gonna talk long enough for the footage to make it, but if you get him down to 1 bar, um, he will actually power up indefinitely. Where, like, until you get him down to 1 bar, he has to do them separately, where he can only do so much. But then he will indefinitely power up once you get him down to 1 bar, and that doesn't make the fight any harder. It's just the same thing. Like, he has those attacks for the rest of the fight, plus one new one, where he glows, rises up in the air, and dashes all over the place, which can be avoided by simply gliding over it. It's honestly kind of pathetic, and there we go. Okay, like that last bit might clip you, but this fight, like many, is just kind of long. Not really hard, just long. So yeah, Riku, uh, congrats. You're just a sort of long fight. His Ansem ship. Ansem has been pissed off because you've been beating the fuck out of him, so now you gotta beat the fuck out of his ship with Goofy. This fight is only this high because you are almost alone. You only have Goofy, so you have no ways to heal besides yourself. But that doesn't make this fight hard, like, at all. This fight is pretty simple. Like, I recommend equipping the Rose Keyblade and anything to get your health and defense up, and going ham. The small lightning bolts are probably going to hit you, because it's honestly all this ship can do. It can do small lightning bolts, a lot of large ones, and then it can do a sort of, like, get off me move, where it summons a black hole or something. Like a black hole of energy. And I have once more in this footage, but if you don't have that, you just have to be on top of healing more. You're almost always going to be able to heal, because as long as you're hitting the ship, every once in a while you're going to be filling up your magic, so you'll be able to get more hits in. This fight is one of the hardest in the game, but it's still pretty easy compared to other fights. Next on our list, we have Leon and Yuffie. Now, I know technically Yuffie does have a fight on her own, but if I were to put that in this boss ranking, it would be below Darkside on its difficulty. It's a pathetic boss fight. Anyway, Leon and Yuffie together. It is honestly not that bad. I prefer to go after Yuffie. She only has like 2 to 3 things she can do. She will run around the arena and toss really tiny and pathetic shurikens at you. And she can also summon a big giant one to toss at you. It's easier when you only have to focus on one. I actually died to this because I couldn't beat Leon. So I ended up coming back after I completed Atlantica. In fact, you can see, like, she only managed to get the giant shuriken off on me one time until we beat her. And I believe she can also heal herself if you leave her alone for too long. So don't do that. Anyway, Leon is the real challenge. He's pretty much the same as he was in Traverse Town. He can summon a fireball to spit at you that you can either block or smack. I don't know if you can smack it back at him because I tend to dodge it. He's got his normal swings, and he's got a new swing that he can do where he does a sort of 360 swing. After you hit him enough, he will enlarge his sword with a laser, or whatever he's doing, and his attacks will deal more damage and have more reach, but other than that, they are basically the same. So, show this man what a true Keyblade Master is, and show him why he should not even have qualified to reach it this far. Saying we're not a real Keyblade Master, that we suck. Please. Like, what are you saying now that I've killed your friend, and now I'm killing you? And now, we have Final Ansem 2. I'm doing this one because, again, I consider this one the hardest version of this fight, even though, like, now you're not alone anymore, so it could be argued that the first one's harder. But this one has more attacks. Final Ansem as a final boss is pathetic. He spent forever charging this one attack that I think blows up. I don't know. All I know is it gave me like 1,000 openings to fucking smack him enough to get rid of like nearly 2 health bars. So thanks for doing that, Ansem. He has an attack that can drain your magic, but that's why, you bring Mega Elixirs or just Mega Ethers or things like that. I like to cast Arrow for some extra defense so I can last longer, but if you have once more, it's not exactly needed. so I was sort of just wasting magic here. He can swing his sword around, and he does not have much else. And there are and he can summon like constant lasers. But other than that, he is not much of a final boss to this journey. Like, especially if, Donald Goofy actually managed to stay alive, all three of you can gangbang his ass, and he will not know what hit him. Seriously, I wish I could keep whatever upgrades I get from beating this asshole. Doom. It would actually make this journey worth it at the end of the day. Alrighty, congratulations, you've just defeated Darkseid. Now for Ansem himself. I'm using the one-on-one fight because I do consider this one harder. Since you do fight him twice like this, once where you have Donald and Goofy, and once where it's just you two. I think this one is the harder one because he will have full focus on you, and he has some new attacks. One of which is very annoying, which is the dash attack, which you can block or hit to stop him. I probably won't be able to see it, so I might as well say it. His other new attack is where he will send his dark figure into the ground, and it will start causing geysers to rise over and over. You can just dodge roll to get out of it, and it'll do one final like shockwave attack, which you have to be aligned with one of the little holes that it'll have. But you might get clipped, but you can always just heal off the damage. Ansem as a boss, while difficult, doesn't have that many attacks. He has that submit attack, which is just very annoying overall, because if you get hit by it, your attack command will randomly turn into a freeze command, and you'll take damage over time. And Ansem himself will put like some kind of laser shield over himself and come after you, so it's very annoying. It can throw spear things at you. It can, and I think this also might be a new one, but it can throw like how do I describe it? Like geysers at you basically. And after hitting Ansem enough, his dark figure will just move to be in front of him, and you won't be able to hit him until it moves. But overall, Ansem, while difficult, is not that bad compared to some of the other bosses that we're going to be talking about. So Ansem, you're hard, but barely worth my time to take on with how easy you are to defeat. Now we got Hades himself, which somehow he's harder than Hercules, like way harder. This man isn't even number one in his own damn cup, but he's still relatively difficult. He has this weird flamethrower attack that I think you can knock him out of if you hit him, if you manage to hit him, but most of the time I just dodge away from it because it's easier and it's less risky to my health. Hades has that attack. He can shoot a fireball at you that you can block. That somehow hurts him, even though if you shoot fire at him normally, it will actually heal him instead of hurt him. But it not only hurts him, but it straight up stuns him. He has this weird snap attack that will cause a small explosion around you that he can do. And he also has like giant flamethrower attack, where basically he lights up his hands and will swing around the arena, and you can dodge roll under the flames. And you're not going to see footage of it, but if he's actually not in the middle, you can stand. Like if you happen to get him to the side, he won't move close enough to the middle, and you can actually just stand to the side, and the attack will never hit you. And finally, he has this weird swing attack that he can do. Overall, Hades, while is kind of dipping your toes into difficult bosses, isn't exactly that hard himself. So congrats, Hades, you're getting us introduced to the hard bosses, but you yourself, not that hard. Now we have Leon Cloud. Both are exactly the same as their respective Colosseum matches, but since I didn't cover Cloud, I'm going to just show Cloud gameplay. Since in this footage I defeated Leon already, so you're just going to see me fighting Cloud. Cloud is exactly the same in his Colosseum match that you did earlier. Not like the fight you have to do against him, but the optional one. He's pretty much the same. He's got his dash, he's got his swings, he's got his targeting downward thing. But now he has where he flies around and will swing at you. I didn't really see a way to dodge this. More times than not, Like, I think there was like one occasion where I actually managed to dodge it. But after a while, he will stop and he'll float down. The differences obviously are that both characters just do more damage and they have more health. There is no differences other than that. But they also get pretty high up on the list because I do think this boss is genuinely difficult, as I had to use like a Mega Elixir that I had packed in just to survive this fight. But I was also a bit underleveled, so there's also that. Alright, now we have Dragon Maleficent, which is the boss that I personally consider to be the hardest that you have to do in this game. And we're not counting any secret bosses. This is the hardest boss you have to do. She's not number 1 on my list, trust me. We are counting the secret bosses, but she is certainly a pain in the ass. She has multiple attacks. She can swipe her claw at you, she can bite at you, and I don't think there's a way to stop it. I think you got hitting or biting. She'll spread fire on the ground, so 90% of the time when you're jumping, you have to jump to hit her also, so, you know, that's also annoying. So when you're jumping to hit her, you're likely to fall into her fire. She has a Grand Slam attack that will create a shockwave, and she can do separate shockwaves, which can throw you off. And her goddamn worst attack, I don't know if we're going to see it in the footage, is this what I'm going to refer to as Spirit Fire, where she just does a small roar, and she'll summon a bunch of small fireballs, and yeah, okay, there it is in the footage. And they have the weirdest timing. I can never fully figure it out on where their timing is. So that sucks. And she also has a tailspin that she can do. If I had any recommendations, if you have MP Rage, put on Tinkerbell if you're honestly having so much trouble. She can actually help you cheat this fight. It's a really difficult boss, but it is doable, as I've done it multiple times. Just one of the hardest bosses, just the hardest boss in the game that you have to do, in my opinion. So congrats, Dragon Maleficent. You are almost number 1, but not quite, as I think you are number 6 on the list, on a technicality. It's countdown time. So at the number 5 spot, we have the Ice Titan. Now, it's arguable how hard this boss actually is. I consider this boss about the same difficulty as Dragon Maleficent, but they can't really share a spot. So I decided to put Ice Titan here because Ice Titan has killed me more times than Dragon Maleficent did on any run, except when I was a kid, but those rarely count because I never really went after Ice Titan as a kid because I didn't know how to get to him. But the Ice Titan has a lot of attacks. First off, you can't actually damage him by just, you know, jumping up there. The only way to damage him is blocking these little shots that he shoots at you. You gotta block those. Meanwhile, ice will be rising into the ground. He can summon giant ice balls to fall down on you. He can freeze you with a giant ice laser. And so much more. And he can also freeze the ground to make you slip. And this is actually the only boss in this game that actually gets harder as you progress through the fight. Now, some bosses get like new abilities and stuff, but Ice Titan, like every time you lower a health bar, he adds like a new element. And even if you dodge all those other attacks, you're not going to dodge all the icicles that he shoots at you. One of those icicles is going to hit. Once more is like your best friend if you have it. If not, well, this fight's still doable, just much harder. This fight is really difficult, but it is not deserving of the number 1 spot, which is why it's number 5 instead. Now we're on to Kurt Zeiza, who takes up the number 4 spot. Kurt Zeiza is the boss that literally made me grind. He is the boss that made me grind for once more, because I literally couldn't do it. This is what I would call an awkward boss, because you either want to do lots of damage, or you want a lot of magic to survive what's to come. I went for lots of damage just so I could have it over with quick. The boss will immediately start by locking you out of your magic. You cannot cast any spells, and you might not be able to use items either. I don't know about that one. But then you have to destroy these weird orbs he's holding. When he's like this, he uses swords, and he has a few attacks he can do like that. He can swing his swords at you, and he can like do a sort of cross slash at you. And he can do a weird blade spin that I never got the timing off of, that I never got the timing of. He also, like this, he can also do his best fidget spinner impression. After you destroy the orbs, he'll fall down, you can body him for way longer than you should actually be able to. In fact, I got like 2, maybe 3 health bars gone on the first one. Next, he will put this weird bubble around him, where only magic will hurt it. If you hit the bubble, it will drop magic balls. So if you're out of magic and don't have any items, I recommend doing that. Blizzard is what seems to work best. I tried different ones, and Blizzard seemed to be what was doing the most to the shield. Like this, he can summon a bunch of fireballs, hit the ground to cause them to explode, but I also saw him hit the ground normally that would like activate like sand dunes. He can summon tornadoes, and he can summon a lot of light balls. Like I said, this boss is difficult. In fact, I only had a simpler time with it. It was still hard for me, but he deserves the spot for actually having to make me grind. No other boss actually had to make me grind like this. Only him. And I think he has some other attack, but I actually never saw it, so I can't really say on that one. So yeah, Kurtziza, you deserve this spot. Now, on to number 3. And making his way to our number 3 spot is the Phantom. The Phantom is an annoying piece of shit. In fact, he's the most annoying boss in this game. I may have said some other boss was the most annoying, but whatever boss that was, is the most annoying boss you have to do. You don't have to do this guy. And that's what makes him even more annoying. He will start by going by the clock tower and putting a spell on it, where it will put a number over Peter Pan's head, since you have to bring Peter Pan to this fight. More on that in a minute. And every once in a while, the clock tower will tick down, and if it hits 0, they die instantly. He can also put it on you, so be careful about that. This boss dictates that you be as magic-oriented as possible. I am using the Diamond Dust, I believe is what it's called. The Diamond Dust Keyblade. Basically, the Keyblade you get for beating the Ice Titan, as that has a lot of magic on it, and it certainly helped. But his little heart ball sack will change colors. White means you need to use melee, yellow is electricity, red is fire, and blue is blizzard. So every like 1 or 2 times, I would go over to the clock and cast stop on it, just to be sure. Like it's not even him. He himself isn't that hard as a boss. Like he has a couple attacks. He can swipe at you, which does a bunch of damage, and he has this weird. But the main thing is he has this little fire thing that he spits out that hit me a few times. I dodged it at one point, but Arrow can reduce the damage. But if you have Araga, like the level 3 version of it, I believe it will bounce it off. But I didn't get that because I'm a heartless monster that didn't get all the Dalmatians, because I am an asshole. So since you have to bring Peter Pan, it makes it even more annoying, because you'll see right there, like I tried to get the hit in on the white like twice there, and both times Peter Pan just went like stabby stabby and did like no damage, because it isn't the amount of damage that will get rid of that will change the color. It is just the hit. So you can get 3 white hits, and Peter Pan can hit it 3 times, and it will just count it completely, and you're like, dude, like what the shit. But yeah, Kurtziza did not manage to kill me after my grind. I got once more, and I still died to this guy once. So I was like, all right, I'll list you higher than Kurtziza, because he didn't manage to kill me. I got him on my first try after my grind. I did not get on my first try, so I decided that the Phantom got to be listed just a tiny bit higher than Kurtziza. Well, since I'm doing this, I might as well piss off as many people as possible while I'm at it, right? Number 2 is Sephiroth. Now, I know he should be number 1, but there's a reason why he isn't number 1 for me, alright? Sephiroth is hard, though. He does a lot of damage with his hits, like nearly all his hits. I was level 91 when I did this. So, you can make the argument that I was over leveled, but we'll get to that. But each hit takes out like close to half my health. He has a lot of attacks as well. He has his normal swing that you can block or just hit to stop. If you're too close to him, he can cause his fire to rise. He has his Omni Slash. He can teleport, and he can drop your HP and MP down to 0. But if you have once more, uh, your HP will be will be good, and you'll hold on with 1. So I recommend bringing in some Mega Elixirs, and I actually have footage of it. But he can also, actually before I get to that, he can also summon these Dark Balls, because I don't think I have footage of that. And there's a Omni Slash. At least I think it's Omni Slash, but yeah, I could not figure out the block time for the life of me. But he also, and there's the thing that will drop your HP to 1. But he has these Dark Balls as well, and he has this attack where he summons all these asteroids, they spin around a bunch, and then they explode. It's really annoying, and good God, I'm glad that I managed to do this fight. Because it was certainly a tough one. It took me a while to do. If anything, this fight is hard and long. It takes what I've said about most fights on they're either hard or they're either long, and does both of them. Alright, there's the attack. And while he does, and there's the asteroid thing, he is completely invincible during that, so you want to just try to survive. You want once more. Once more is your best friend. And if you're not against using it, put on Leaf Bracer. I did 2 runs of this fight. This is my one with Leaf Bracer, because this is just the first one. And yeah, he will remain invincible for a little longer. And he will start doing that once green health starts showing. And then he gets some new attacks like those spins. He'll drop more Dark Balls and things like that. He's a difficult fight, but not impossible. And our number 1 spot is the Mysterious Man, aka Xemnas. I actually put in my full-on win attempt in this, just so you could see the pain of 2 hours. This bitch took 2 hours. No boss in this game took me that long. And I also have a lot to talk about. What can this bitch do? Oh, let me go over it. First, he's got these blue lasers that he can do. He can put up this weird shield, and he has these red lightsabers that he can spawn, that he will dash around. Blocking is key, though I did not learn that until about the final parts. Now, I know it's going to be a lot of controversy, but we'll get into the controversy on why I listed this guy higher than Sephiroth. Trust me. He can place these blue spear balls, and similar to what Sephiroth can do, I didn't really go over it, but he can stand in it, so you will take damage if you try to hurt him in it. He has a shock attack that will damage you over time. He'll chase you down trying to hit you, and it'll lock your command to shock, and while it's flipping through free. You gotta click the free one, and then you can get out. And he's trying to hit you the entire time, and it's damage over time. He can also put himself in a big spear of lasers, and it's super annoying, and I do not like it. Overall, this is a very annoying boss. But why is he higher than Sephiroth? Well, he does not do as much damage, but he actually killed me a lot more. And unlike Sephiroth, he actually doesn't stagger as often. And I actually don't have a lot of solutions to a lot of the stuff that he does. And also he has red lasers that he will do later, so it makes him even more annoying, but for example, the whole shock attack thing is what killed me almost every time. I don't think anything else actually killed me. And it wasn't that much level of a difference, by the way. I was level 90 when I fought this guy, and level 91 when I fought Sephiroth. And it was like an AP boost. It was not a level difference that would have changed everything. But the only ways I found, and also yeah, he does have that. He has this weird laser dance that he will do later. But the only way I found to dodge his little shock attack is the perfect timing on a dodge roll, taking damage from something else, or either using an item or using cure. And I'm not good at I'm not good at perfect timing. We all know this, and I don't want to. And you know, taking a hit from something else is situational. So I opted to later start using cure. Yeah, it's a super hard fight in my opinion. This fight is harder than Sephiroth for me. Sephiroth didn't take me 2 hours. This fight took me 2 hours. No fight took me 2 hours besides this one. This fight was a bitch and a half to complete. And look how fast that drains your health. Like, I almost quit this boss. I almost just gave up right then and there. And he's and did I mention he's almost like never open because he's moving around so much, and he hardly ever fucking staggers. Pretty sure I did, but let me rephrase it. He hardly ever fucking staggers, and when he does, it's not. You feel like you're not doing enough. I had to. I brought in like 6 or so ethers, and I used every last one of them just to survive. And even then, I can't even account as that because Goofy actually helped in that, where he would give me his magic just so I could survive. Like, and I had MP Rage. I had Leaf Bracer. I had once more, which is kind of useless whenever he does the shock attack on you. Like, the Mysterious Man, aka Xemnas, is the whole shebang. He does everything he can to make this fight as difficult as goddamn possible. And I hate it. I absolutely hate this fight. This is like the one fight I don't think I'm ever going to be doing again, just because it was so hard and stressful for me. And yeah, I know fights get harder later in the series, but let me have this, alright? Like, my god. Even now, even looking back at this footage, doing this voiceover part, I'm looking at this footage and I'm just like, how the fuck did I do this? Like, I don't know how I did it. I cannot tell you. But, my god. I, I know it's going to be a lot of controversy that I'm putting him above Sephiroth. But like I said, he gave me so much trouble that by the end of it, I was fucking brain dead. I was so tired. And that's another reason is I was actually really tired when I did my first beat on Sephiroth. And plus, my logic of it is, you can make the argument that I'm over leveled for the fight on Sephiroth, but if that's the case, then I should be over leveled for this fight too. Like, it's a 1 level difference. And with that in mind, he kicked my ass for 2 hours, even with me being supposedly over leveled. So yeah. And yeah, I don't know if I mentioned, but he has that. There's that spear laser attack. I don't know if I mentioned it, but he has that too. Overall, he is super goddamn annoying. I hate him. And I'm not ending it yet. No, no, this voiceover is going until you all get to see the full win round. This was 2 hours of fighting him. And I know stuff, and I know the way I'm recording this footage, it kind of cuts off certain things, but I'm pretty sure you can see the command deck being locked in the shock and the free thing I mentioned. And I think I mentioned, but he also has a laser dance. There's his laser dance, where he just dances around with the lasers. So at this point, I started just healing pretty much every time I thought he was going to do the shock attack thing. I just started healing immediately just to avoid it. And I never really figured out how to fully avoid the spear attack. Like, I kind of got the hang of it near the end, but even now, I still don't fully understand it. Yeah, he can also turn into a gastral state, as you've seen throughout the video, or this, as you've seen throughout this voiceover. He can turn into a gastral state thing and just float around. I don't think you can hurt him like that. And there's also a chance that after that he will that he'll do the shock attack, and also that ice was a complete accident, in case you're curious. But this fight was a tedious bitch. I hate this fight. I'm never doing it again in my life, if I can help it. Like, this fight was the hardest fight in this game for me. Again, of course, this is all subjective. Here's the thing with this. This is all subjective. This list is why this is my personal list. And I know a lot of people probably don't find this guy that bad. I personally find him harder than Sephiroth. He gave me way more trouble than Sephiroth did. And I know someone's gonna be like, oh well, now you gotta do it on Proud and fight all these bosses again, and you needed to fight Sephiroth at a more like actual level. And no. Because I even fought Sephiroth without Leaf Bracer. And I do not think Sephiroth will give me as many gray hairs as Xemnas did in this game. Because you can see I'm like pausing throughout it because I had an itch and I was like, oh my god, oh my god. Like every few minutes, Like, this entire thing. Like, there would be no point to me playing the audio of what was here, because I'm fully silent. So that's going to do it for this video. This was my first boss ranking video. It's over an hour long, because there's a lot of bosses in Kingdom Hearts. Sure, I left some out, like, Solo, Yuffie, the beach fights, the little Bella monster, and the final anthem segments. But I don't really consider those boss fights. I only counted what I fully consider boss fights, and I toned down repeat, and I didn't do repeat fights. Trust me, this video would be twice as long if I counted all those. So I saved you the time. I saved you time, if anything. Anyways, that's gonna do it for this boss ranking. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And maybe I'll do one on Chain of Memories, since I did play that on stream as well more recently. And that probably wouldn't take me 3 hours to do. Well, technically it took like 6, but whatever. I'll see you guys in whatever I do next. Goodbye.